Welcome to Straits Talk by Straits Interactive, where we talk about value, risks, constraints, data protection, data governance, and generative AI. I'm Grace Chng, a tech writer, and with me today is Alvin 𝘱𝘻, co-founder of Straits Interactive. So, Alvin, today we're going to talk about an interesting topic that's on everybody's mind, and it's called generative AI. So, the latest I read about generative AI is that you can actually fake celebrities' photos. Have you seen any?
I've not seen any of mine. However, this is now rife, right? And in fact, it become a tool for scammers on a very big scale right now.
Okay, so let's dive into this topic a little bit more. But, you know, we've had generative AI now for exactly about a year. After 1 year, can you just envision if we didn't have it, what would it be like?
It would be like a lot of broken English and bad. And we won't get emails that says, I hope this finds you well. You know, a lot of people are writing emails using ChatGPT, and a lot of their creative outputs, you can see is AI, right? So, I mean, things like Grammarly, for example, are using AI, and a lot of people's English are corrected there. So I think the creative output and emails and writing, that's very prevalent and probably one of the most popular usage of writing document summarization.
Right. Okay. So what are the best use cases? Can you just talk from your experience in using generative AI in Straits Interactive? You know?
Okay.
How did you go about doing it, and what are some of the benefits or challenges you found?
Okay. Well, we did an experiment, and we unleashed ChatGPT to our company for about 2-3 weeks. And then we measured from each department, they declared before and after. Interestingly enough, you know, we found that overall the company had 62% gain in productivity.
Okay.
62.
In what areas would this be, for example?
Okay. So the different functions that we released it to, the one that had the biggest return was the marketing side. Because they do a lot of creative writing and a lot of summarizing of information. And the next one was the learning department, because they create content. And they got to, assemble a lot of content. So there were tremendous hours saved, right? We calculated at least 26 hours saved across just 4 or 5 departments.
In a week or
in a week?
In a week.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Does that mean that they can now do more work?
Yes, of course. They can do more with less.
Right.
And in fact, the quality improved because most of the time is the grunt work, right, of assembling and summarizing that takes time, or blank piece of paper you start with. Now it get out to a running start, and the assembling of the information or curation and summarizing is done so quickly. They actually start on the second floor almost, right?
Right. So that means you take what has been generated, and then the person then goes through it and tweaks it to suit whatever situation may be. Right. Okay. So having benefited, what was your next step with generative AI?
Internally, right now, seeing that was just text, right? Just ChatGPT alone. We then started to train our staff in terms of how to do better prompting so that the quality is better. And with the advancement of AI tools, we are not letting them to use tools like, for example, in image generation, even in videos and stuff, because these are the one that takes time manually. And we are seeing already improvement in terms of mostly summarizing, content generation. Even my own legal is using that to help him look at contract terms or even comparing documents, because we do a lot of compliance documents ourselves, both internally as for customers.
So did you turn this into a little business for yourself as well?
Well, good that you asked. We actually are having a major project internally. We have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars actually to fine-tune our own model of not ChatGPT, but of actually an intelligent bot, right? That does both querying against our database of knowledge, so that it become what we call AI assistant. And the first one we roll out is actually the AI DPO assistant. And we are now also enable people to create their own apps so that it's better for custom use.
Okay. So for companies who now want to get into generative AI, what are their challenges in adoption?
I think most companies, they might have heard of it, but they don't see how is it going to be relevant to their work if they have never touched it.
Right.
They might have heard about it. It might be a toy. The challenges is that management may not know, and the person recommending internally also does not know how to navigate it to show in the business use. Right. So I think competency is one issue.
Okay.
Right. And then on the tool and what it can do. Of course, the evaluation of the tool is another matter altogether.
Okay, so they need to do competency. That means train themselves to understand what it can do. And then the platform, selecting the right platform for them to embark on a project. Right. So what advice, let's say I'm a boss, a 𝘱𝗩𝗟𝗏, and I want to ask my staff to start a generative AI project. What advice should I be getting, in terms of what are the values and risks and constraints that I will face as a business?
Okay. So rightly, you point out those 3 keywords, Grace, and that was why speaking to a lot of C-levels. They don't ask that kind of question in that manner.
Okay.
If any bosses can ask that framing, that'll be very helpful, right? Say, okay, what's this thing about generative AI? What does it mean to us? Give me a report. And if you give that framework, I want to see what is the value of this technology. Can you evaluate, is there any risk involved or not? And then if I want to roll it out, what are the constraints for us to put in so that we safeguard against the risks? So that value, risk, and constraint framework will be useful because the value part is how useful is it? Right? Most people are enamored by the sexiness of the tools. But you also need to know so that you can say, okay, I can advise in our company, we can use it for summarization. We can do this new technology that enables us to do better video or better content generation. But I evaluated this thing, there may be a certain risk in accuracy and stuff like that. The other side we can do is we can use this particular tuning to mitigate the risk. You see, then it's a balanced view for companies. Right now, I think most people are maybe only hearing on the internet or whatever they're reading, only the good part about it. Oh, this thing can do this. And there's a myriad of tools out there. But you still don't want to be on the other side, the fear mongering. Yeah. Oh, this is dangerous. So it's not a balanced view. So you can't make a corporate decision like that.
So what would you advise companies do, Do a small pilot, learn from it, and then move forward?
Yeah, so that's a good suggestion. In fact, I would say first, get your staff competent. Go on a training first. What is this technology about? Even ChatGPT itself, right? Between 2 users, one person who is trained and one person who is not, the output can be drastically different, what we call prompt engineering. Secondly, after that, you've done that, okay, if we're going to bring this in, how do we have a secure environment? Which is why we invested $100,000 there, right? Because we decided that if it's going to be enterprise, we need to make sure that it's in a secure environment. We work with Microsoft, actually we're partners with them. And we actually have a secure instance to do that. Right. So we are trying to make that available when we eat our own dog food, make it available to companies to onboard, this kind of technology, AI assistance into their company securely and responsibly. Then there is no question about, what risks are there because it's already controlled.
Right. So generative AI is here to stay, won't go away, and you will only develop and advance very quickly, right? But these are the things that companies need to know if they want to start. So competency, they must have the people who understand the technology. Then they must know how to select the platform. Start small, maybe start with a small project and then go on from there. Thank you, Alvin, for sharing your thoughts with me, and listen to this podcast, Straits Talk, on anywhere you listen to your podcasts.